And we're live. Hello, everybody. Good morning. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Today is Friday, July 22nd, 2022. And today we're talking about iMore's new do. We got a new look. We're diving in deeper into Apple's Emmy nominations. We're discussing what's next for the Apple TV and more because this is the iMore Show. I am your host, Luke Filipovich, iMore writer, and I'm joined, as always, by my two lovely co-hosts, Stephen Warwick, our news editor at iMore. How you doing, Stephen?
Hello, I'm well, thank you.
And Karen Freeman, iMore contributor. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How about you?
Good. I'm excited about, we'll start the show off right here with iMore's new look. You may have noticed if you've gone to the site this week that we've changed. We got a new CMS, which doesn't really mean much to you. We're still delivering you the same content, the same reviews, news, rumors, and all sorts of things that you're used to us coming to us for. So please keep doing that. It's kind of to bring us in line with all of our sister sites. We were on an older version, a different system for a long time than most of our company, which is if you don't know, iMore is owned by Future, is kind of our big parent company. And our sister sites, Android Central and Windows Central, who have been with us for a long time, they all switched over. And so it was finally our turn. So go check it out. Let us know. You can let us know what you think, or if you see anything wonky. We're still finding a few issues. If you see anything like really wonky or weird, something's not displaying something, go ahead and just let us know, and we can take a look into it. Because migrating a whole site over, some things break.
Yes, and please be patient with us because we're all learning a completely new system.
I was just about to say, if we all
there are bugs and that are beyond our control, but that can be fixed if we know about them. So, feel free to let us know if you see some buggy issues, and we will do our best to squash them.
I was going to say, if we all look or sound like generally a bit more fraught than usual, it's because we have all been battling. As much as it looks different on the outside from the front, it also looks very different in the back end, where we work, not to get into the weeds and stuff, but we are all kind of getting to grips with that and stuff. So as much as it's a big change,
we all had to learn a brand new job this week.
It's like
starting training all over again.
Yeah, it's literally like trying to, if you're left or right-handed, it's like, imagine trying to like learn how to write with your other hand is basically like what the transition we've all made in, I think, about 4 or 5 days. So we're getting there. I think it looks good. It's a big change. It should help us like in a bunch of different ways. It will also, I mean, it's good for you and for us, you as listeners and us as well, in a couple of different ways. It will open up some cool opportunities. Like, we've never been able to live blog events before, but that is something other feature sites that we work alongside would do very well, and that will kind of open up the possibility for us as well. So when there's an upcoming Apple event, say like the new iPhone launch or something like that, rather than just like, a bunch of news posts or stuff, we can do like a big live blog so you can kind of see all the information in one place. So yeah, a big change, but definitely will open up some kind of cool possibilities as well, which is nice.
Yeah, so feel free to, if you haven't looked at the site, feel free to go do that. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's any bugs. And we're excited to sort of get rolling with it. So that's our personal news. And we're going to jump into the show. And actually, we'll stick on the slightly personal news a little bit. But in some interesting tech news, iMore alum Renee Ritchie, who
iMore Godfather.
iMore Godfather, the OG iMorean, as I used to call him back in the day when he worked with us. He's taken a job at YouTube. Surprisingly enough,
Renee Ritchie works for Google now. Nobody saw that coming.
Nobody saw that.
I'm surprised, but I'm not, because the position that he's taken, I didn't even know it existed. But if I did know it existed, I literally would have said he would be the perfect person for it. So he's going to be the YouTube creator liaison. So he is one of these people. He is an absolutely genuine person. He really is like how he appears in media, and he genuinely cares about other creators and is always trying to help them, even when he's working as a creator. And these people are his direct competition, the other tech YouTubers in the Apple space. he is constantly congratulating them on Twitter and sharing their videos and offering to help them, offering suggestions. I mean, that's just his personality. So this new position, I think, will be perfect for him.
Yeah, the Renee you see on the live, like he comes on the show sometimes and stuff, that is very much the Renee, like all the time. Like, we've worked with him behind the scenes a lot and stuff as well. So yeah, definitely congratulations to him, and absolutely, like Karen said, it is that if that is a job description that you would have drawn up for Renee. So I'm sure it'll be an excellent fit.
Yeah.
And sounds like he's going to continue on with YouTube and kind of some independent creating stuff as well, because I think it was one of those, he sort of said, like, it's a job that you kind of have to do to know how to help other people do it and things. So I don't think it's the end of Renee's like YouTube channel and stuff like that, or even, maybe his appearances in the show. So yeah, wish him all the best.
We wish him a hearty congratulations in his new role.
Yeah, congratulations, Renee. That's really cool. I echo what Karen said. It's hard for me to think of a better person on YouTube who can kind of take into that role. And he's not the only one. He's the second one. He's the second creator liaison. There's somebody else before him. So it's cool that YouTube is, as someone who follows quite a bit of YouTubers, a lot of YouTubers will give YouTube a lot of flack about not communicating properly and things like that. And I think they are slowly getting better with that, and they are trying to address that. And I think positions like this and finding good quality people to fill them is going to be important going forward. So yeah, congratulations, Renee. We'll have to see if we can ever get him on the iMore show again.
He may not be allowed to. I don't know. I don't know.
He might not be allowed to. We don't talk about Google all that often. So
maybe he could, Renee, if you're listening, like, if you could just put us on the front page of YouTube, like the show, that would be.
Yeah,
sure
whose
you
palms
do
do
now.
we got to grease? Whose palms?
So
do we
yeah,
gotta grease, Renee?
if you see an iMore video in like slot 1, position 1 of the Google homepage, of the YouTube homepage, like every day for the next 2 years, then you know what happens. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be
friends
a big change for us as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's hilarious. Moving on, we're going to talk a lot about Apple TV, including Apple TV Plus today, because we talked a little bit about it last week, but there's a ton of Emmys. So many Emmys that are coming, that are nominations that have come towards Apple TV Plus shows. Some of our favorites, as we talked about a few weeks ago, things like Ted Lasso, Severance. Why can't I think of them? The Morning Show, things like that are all getting kind of praise. But we're diving a bit deeper and wondering who can actually win. Who can actually win these Emmys?
Yeah, so I have seen all of the shows that have nominations for the acting. For the acting role. So I actually do have picks for all of the categories. If you
would you like a
yours
rundown of everything that's on the docket? Because like there is a lot. This is 52 nominations.
Yeah. Do you want me to do the rundown?
Or I could. Well, I've got it here. Do you have it here? Yeah, go for the acting first, and
I'll do the acting. You can do the others, because I actually
maybe I should.
I wrote. Oh, go ahead. Okay, so Ted Lasso got 20 nominations. So the acting ones are Outstanding Lead Actor in a Comedy. That's Jason Sudeikis, who of course plays Ted Lasso. Outstanding Supporting Actor in a Comedy. That's Brett Goldstein, who plays Roy Kent. Toheeb Jimo, who plays Sam Obisanya. Nick Mohammed, who plays Nate Shelley, or Coach Nate. Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Comedy Series, Sarah Niles, who plays Dr. Sharon Fieldstone. Juno Temple, who plays Keely Jones. Hannah Waddingham, who's Rebecca Welton on the show. And then we have Outstanding Guest Actress in a Comedy Series, Harriet Walter, who plays Deborah. And I want to say she's Rebecca's mom. Does that
exactly, yeah, Rebecca's mom. So if you've seen Ted Lasso, she's the older lady who walks in on the naked chap down in Rebecca's kitchen in
it's a very small part. She's in like 2 episodes. And then we have Outstanding Guest Actor in a Comedy Series, Sam Richardson, who plays that rich guy, maybe a king or something, or a prince, who wants Sam to join his team.
I'm so sorry. I looked this up right before the show, and then I was like, oh, that's such and such. So when this comes up, I will be able to say Sam Richardson plays, and it is completely skipped my mind, which is really cool. It completely skipped my mind. He plays.
Well, that's why I did it. That's why I did it. That's what I was doing this morning.
Yeah. He's Edwin Akufo.
Yeah. That's right. And then James Lance, who plays Trent Krim, the Independent. I have to always say, after you say Trent Krim, you have to say the Independent, right?
That's a lot of nominations. I mean,
Yeah,
some of them,
and that's just Ted Lasso. We still have a
yeah.
couple more shows.
Yeah, so like Ted Lasso got some for the general show as well. So there's like outstanding comedy series, which is probably like if you're at Apple, that's probably the one you'd want to win. You'd be like, we are like the best comedy at the Emmys. And then there's a bunch of, you know, like they are awards, but they're not really awards for like. There's one for contemporary hairstyling that Ted Lasso has been nominated for. Like, I'm sure Apple won't be that thrilled. Maybe they will be thrilled if they win that. But yeah,
Jason, the numbers.
Jason as Ted, I think that was probably a given. We maybe should have looked up, unless you did, Karen. I don't know who they're up against in any of these categories.
I got it. I got it.
For you.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds.
So I mean,
was just looking at that.
While you wait for that,
I specifically only looked up the Apple one, so we know which categories we have Apple TV shows competing against one another. So for comedy, there are no other Apple TV series up for acting.
It's weird. Apart from Ted Lasso, Apple TV Plus hasn't done like that. Like if you think about like drama or like thriller, you could probably say like Apple has 2, 3, 4 good shows. I feel like you'd struggle to find a good. You'd be like, name a comedy on Apple TV Plus. You'd be like Ted Lasso.
Right. The only other one
is that.
I haven't seen Trying, but the only other one that's
a very
nominated.
British one, yeah.
Okay. The Schmigadoon is sort of a comedy. I mean, it's a musical, but that's up for a bunch of nominations, but that's not acting.
All for like it's for its music because it's like I was reading about this. It's like 2 backpackers get trapped in like a 1940s musical town, which if you ask me, I absolutely hate musicals. So this sounds like my idea of TV hell.
Well, so I watched the whole series, but my husband found it unwatchable. So
right, okay, yeah, I'll take his word for it. That's fine by me.
Yeah,
I think there are awards there.
If it sounds like something you would not like to watch, you would not like to watch it.
Yeah,
but yeah,
Jason. Production design, choreography, like all things I despise in television. So yeah.
Jason Sudeikis is, if you're wondering, for the outstanding lead actor in a comedy series, he is up against Donald Glover for his role in Atlanta, Bill Hader for his role in Barry, Nicholas Hoult, I don't know how to say that last name, I apologize, for his role in The Great, and both Steve Martin and Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building, which, by the way, if nobody's seen that show, I highly recommend it. That is a good show. He's up against some real stiff competition.
That's always a tough category.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't it be? And I mean, I haven't seen Ted Lasso. I like Jason Sudeikis a lot. I've seen a lot of his films and things like that. I'm not sure how he performs in Ted Lasso. I know Ted Lasso's been
it's very good.
Yeah,
is good.
I do need to get around to seeing it because I like everything about Ted Lasso speaks to me, and I love the creator Bill Lawrence so much. I love all of his shows, most notably Scrubs, but even like Spin City and Cougar Town, I've really loved in the past. So
I loved those shows.
I need to I need to jump on the bandwagon, but I just like haven't yet. But he is definitely up for some stiff competition, so it's going to be hard because like I feel I've watched Atlanta. I think only the first season, and it's insanely good. I've watched a bit of Barry, and I've really liked that. And then Only Murders in the Building is like a newer show, but it's super hilarious and super ridiculous. And I've been loving that a lot. So it's really hard for me to like. I don't know if he's going to win it. I don't know if he's going to take it. But
that's a tough one. I mean, I think his performance is good, but it's not the kind of show I watch and say, "Wow, the acting is really phenomenal on this show." It's it's
do you know I think it is? We were talking about Ted Lasso last week, and Karen, you said, and I agreed about how it kind of swings very wildly from the downright silly and outrageous to incredibly emotional and intense scenes. So Jason said he plays all of that huge range very, very well, but because of the course of the show, he is kind of, as all the characters are, kind of subject to that kind of pendulum and roller coaster of emotion. So that can make it a little difficult, but I think he's absolutely brilliant. And like the the speeches he gives, like either like the half times or like before games and stuff like that. I mean, that is obviously, you know, kind of peak sports television, is somebody giving like a rousing locker room speech, but his ones in particular are really excellent. And yeah, there's a lot of really good deep stuff as well, like his journey, and we're going into spoilers, but like his journey with getting therapy and things like that, and the different character arcs and stuff like that. So I haven't seen any of the other shows, so I hesitate to comment on his chances. But if there was one person in one Apple TV Plus show that I had to like tip to win something, it would be Jason for Ted Lasso for being a good actor. So
yeah. So should we move on to drama? Because we've got 2 dramas, and there's a little bit of competition between them.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Severance, of course, which is up for outstanding drama series. So outstanding lead actor in a drama, Adam Scott as Mark, who is the main character, and he is phenomenal. Outstanding supporting actor, and they are both so phenomenal, and I hate that they're up against each other. John Turturro for Irving and Christopher Walken for Bert. These are both like very favorite characters that people love, and they have a great storyline together. I don't want to spoil anything, but they're in a lot of scenes together, and they are, I mean, these are venerated actors, and they are just phenomenal in this. So I cannot, how do you pick between them? Have either of you seen Severance?
I haven't, no, but it's a great problem to have, isn't it? Like you've got
it's a great problem for
actors
Apple
from
to
one
have.
show, duking out. Not for us on the show, maybe, but duking out for the same set of awards. That's really cool.
I mean, I would give if I have to pick one, I'll pick John to Turturro, but I certainly would not be sad if Christopher Walken won it, because they are both so phenomenal. But we also have outstanding supporting actress in a drama, Patricia Arquette, who plays Harmony Coble, or Mrs. Coble. And she's good, of course. She's good in everything she's in. And then we have The Morning Show, which is nominated. They have a nomination for outstanding lead actress in a drama series, Reese Witherspoon, who plays Bradley Jackson, who is one of the main characters. Little disappointing not to see Jennifer Aniston as well, but because they're both really phenomenal in it. And then outstanding supporting actor in a drama series, Billy Crudup. I don't know how you say his name. And he plays Corey Ellison, and he's great in this. But when you're talking about putting him up against John Turturro or Christopher Walken, I don't think he has a chance against either of them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and we also have outstanding guest actress in a drama series, Marcia Gay Harden, who plays Maggie Brenner. And honestly, she's in like 9 episodes, and I barely noticed her. So I don't know. She was good. I mean, she wasn't. I have no complaints about her performance whatsoever. But depending on who else is in the category, I don't know if she's going to get that one.
Yeah,
it's kind of a weird category though, because guest actress, guest actress, guest actor, they may only be in a couple of episodes, so they're not necessarily noticeable roles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I was surprised to see Trent Crimm in one. I was like, who's that? And I was like, yeah, it's Trent Crimm. But like, of course, it makes sense. He's not a main character. But, yeah, exactly. But that's really funny to me. Yeah.
By the way, it is Billy Crudup.
Crudup, thank you.
Crudup.
Thank you.
Yes.
I apologize for the mispronunciation.
You nailed everything else.
It's funny because I only know that because last week when we were talking about some of the nominations, I brought him up as one of the nominations for The Morning Show, and I had to make sure because I assumed it was going to be Crudup, and I was like, it's probably not Crudup because that sounds a little weird. I'm sure there's a different pronunciation. So then I looked it up, and I saw an interview where he said it. So it's Crudup.
And Phone Pup in the comments pointed out it was agreed with me that it was weird not to see Jennifer Aniston nominated, but also Steve Carell. I mean, he is just outstanding in The Morning Show. Luke, I think you would agree with me.
Yeah, the 4 kind of main characters, I suppose, which are Reese Witherspoon, Billy Crudup, Steve Carell, and Jennifer Aniston, I think all are really great in that show. They really carry it. And so, yeah, it's a little interesting. Although I would say if you were to, make me choose between Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston, I probably would choose Reese Witherspoon. So that's my take.
Well, the Emmy committee did. So
yeah, the Emmy committee did. But if for some reason they could only have
nominated.
one, I'm not sure why. But if for some reason they could only have one, that is the one that I would pick. So I think they didn't make the correct choice in that regard.
It's interesting, isn't it? How like awards can I used to think like awards were pretty pants. Like I've never been that into kind of like, you know, the award cycle of different movies or TV shows or whatever. But seeing this come up, obviously, because we kind of have to talk about it in the Apple sphere, it's funny how the awards can really like draw you, or not, as the case may be, to some. So for me, so there's a couple of other like throwaway nominations. Foundation got a nomination for outstanding special visual effects, which is like one of my favorite reasons to watch a TV show or a movie. I'm all about the visual effects. So seeing that, I was like, oh my gosh, like I really need to catch up on Foundation. Conversely, of course, I saw Schmigadoon's nomination list. I was like, oh, that is absolutely not for me. But yeah, I think it's and Severance as well. You know, seeing how like 14. Like, you know, I like Ted Lasso, that's got 20, and then see, you know, Severance net 14. I'm like, okay, this is definitely worth, you know, my time, especially given how many of these nominations are not, you know, the throwaway nominations like hair design, but actually best drama, lead actors, supporting actors, actresses, all that stuff. So yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you make a good point. The one thing I'll say about Foundation, I did watch it. I did enjoy it. I found it a little bit slow, but it is based on a classic sci-fi book, like from before my time, I believe.
And
like,
does the story not span like millennia as well? Is that not why?
Yeah. I remember when I first heard that like that was Apple TV was gonna, you know, bought the rights or was developing a show kind of based around Foundation. I was like, that is going to be one hard series to like turn into like the TV medium.
did you
it's
read
one of the
book
reasons
series, Luke?
I've read some of them. I haven't read all of them. I kind of fell out of love of reading quite a while ago. I don't read much anymore, to be honest. At least not much fiction. I read a lot of online stuff, but not a lot of like books, I suppose. It's good, but it is very, you know, political and kind of like cerebral, and like not, especially the first couple books are not even really about anyone. Like there's not really even a lead character for a while. It's a confusing but interesting kind of like epic space fantasy sort of series. And I think that I haven't watched the Apple TV show yet. I need to get around to it. Apple TV Plus is one of those services that I kind of keep forgetting I have, because I just have them all, and there's
Keep reminding you, Luke.
I know there's so many shows that I need to
Yeah,
get
it's just
on.
2 weeks in a row now. Come on, you got no excuse, really, have you?
Yeah. Okay, that's it. By next show, I'll have watched everything, and I'll just stay up 24 hours until I watch it all. But quickly, because we went over lead actor for comedy series, let's do lead actor in drama series. We have Adam Scott up against Jason Bateman for his role in Ozark, Brian Cox for their role in Succession, Lee Juan-jae, I probably pronounced that wrong, for Squid Game, Bob Odenkirk for Better Call Saul, and then also Jeremy Strong for Succession. So once again, super.
Okay. That is like an impossible category filled with phenomenal actors, but I have an easy answer for that one. It's got to be Jeremy Strong. That's my pick.
In football, I know, we call it the group of death.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are really into Succession. Once again, I don't have HBO, so I haven't seen it, but I've heard lots of good things. Better Call Saul is amazing, and Bob Odenkirk's really, really good in that. And I like Ozark a lot. But this last season, which was its last season, the fourth season, was kind of a letdown, to be honest. So
I disagree. I thought it was phenomenal all the way through. I've seen all of those shows, and I tell you, they like every performance is more phenomenal than the next. But Jeremy Strong, I think it is actually an easy pick, which is incredible considering what a strong category that is.
Fair.
Luke, then for lead actress.
Yes, for lead actress, because there wasn't one for comedy series, but there is for drama series. So Reese Witherspoon for The Morning Show is up against Laura Linney from Ozark, Melanie Linsky from Yellow Jackets, Sandra Oh from Killing Eve, Zendaya from Euphoria, and Jodie Comer from Killing Eve as well. Also a pretty hard slate. I would pick Laura Linney. So this is where I would pick Laura Linney. But once again, I haven't seen that many of these shows. I've only seen like 3 of them. So I don't have a full picture. But Laura Linney in Ozark is like my standout. I always think that she just did a phenomenal job with Wendy. I would just want to see her win. But she might have already, to be honest. I'm sure it's been nominated before, but I'm not even sure. Because like Stephen was saying, I don't usually follow the Emmys. like this is more than I've ever done about the Emmys in my life. I'm an Oscars boy. I will definitely watch the Oscars, and I'm very interested in Oscars because I see a lot of movies and stuff. And the Oscars have always kind of compelled me, but the Emmys have always sort of fallen short. But this year, because of the Apple TV Plus angle, I've been like following it a lot more closely, and now I'm kind of like, maybe I should start watching.
Yeah, I've seen all of those shows except Yellow Jackets, and again, they're all phenomenal. It would be a tough pick, but for me, between Zendaya and Laura Linney, they're both just phenomenal.
Fair. Yeah. So before we move on, let's throw it to Karen to tell us about one of our sponsors.
Have you ever hit a technical snafu shopping online? Has filling out payment fields given you a headache? Has a mobile banking app even been down when you wanted to use it? Capital One believes everyone deserves better banking. This means easier access to their money and more security. That's why Capital One is investing in machine learning. Machine learning allows Capital One to do things like fight fraud with random forests. Models quickly detect suspicious activity and make it faster to alert federal investigators. Identify how mobile app outages happen with causal models. Keeping our mobile app up and running doesn't happen by accident. Anomaly detection and incident response help determine why app outages happen so engineers can quickly remedy them. Speed up online shopping with machine learning at the edge. Make shopping with virtual card numbers smoother and more secure. This technology is based on logistic regression models and running inference in the browser. It identifies payment fields, which helps make using virtual card numbers easier and faster. The potential of machine learning is so big. See how Capital One is using machine learning to create the future of banking. Search machine learning at Capital One. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Thank you, Capital One, and thank you, Karen. Yeah, so before we move on, actually going to answer a question here from one of our listeners. Marcia, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right.
Marcia, maybe?
Marcia, I'm not sure, but let us know, and I'll correct myself. But it says, hi, just wondering when you think they'll update the 16-inch MacBook Pro M1 to an M2. If they do that, how much do you think the price will go up? And will they keep the old one at a lower price? In terms of, I'll go first. You guys can weigh on this too, but I think in terms of the 16-inch getting the update, I think it's reasonable to think it might be coming in the fall. Not exactly sure when, but maybe around like October, because like sometimes they'll have like the iPhone event in September, and then a lot of times they'll kind of have like an October-ish event, and it's usually a little more like Mac or something else focused. I think that's possible. Will the price go up? It's hard to say. You never really know. I would like to say no because I don't want prices to go up, but with lots of things going up these days, and the fact that the M2 MacBook Air went up as well, although that did go through a form change, so there is a reason for that, I think, whereas you would assume that this body would be the same and it would mostly be like an internal change. So hopefully the price can stay the same, but like I would say the general consensus is never rely on prices staying the same. Always rely on them going up if you're thinking about buying. And then will they keep the old one? I'm not sure. I know we saw them do that with the MacBook Air. Obviously, the MacBook Air M1 MacBook Air is kind of still around. I personally think that might have been because they were raising the price on the MacBook on the M2 MacBook Air. And if they don't raise the price on the 16-inch MacBook Pro, I don't see why they would keep around the M1 at that point. That would be my guesses. How about you folks? What do you think?
Go on,
well,
Karen.
I'm going to guess October of this year.
Mm-hmm.
And as for the price, I think you're right. They'll either raise the price slightly and keep the M1 Max and all that, or they will keep the price the same and eliminate the M1. That's my guess. What do you think, Stephen?
Yeah, I totally broadly agree with all of that. I think this year seems pretty likely. So yeah, not with the iPhone, but in either the October or even the November, we've had Mac events and stuff like that. Towards the end of this year, there is one interesting thing they could do is, because the Mac got such a big change like last time round when we got the new MacBook Pro, we got the new 14-inch size with a 16-inch model as well. We got a whole new form factor and design. So I think it's unlikely it's not going to be like another big drastic change. I think it will be a very slight tweak. So there's always the possibility that Apple might just, rather than like announce a new MacBook Pro, they could just say the MacBook Pro now comes with an M2 option, and they might just add as upgrades somewhere wherever they fit kind of in the spectrum, a processor upgrade. So right now you can choose between, what is it, the M1 Pro and the M1 Max, maybe the M2 Pro on Max, or probably not just the M2, but yeah, M2 Pro, M2 Max. They might just become kind of options as part of the thing rather than like as a full upgrade. And then that would sort of answer the question. I would assume that the M2 versions would be more expensive and they would keep the same price. There is, in previous years, we've always seen Apple, so like the iPhone, right? A new iPhone comes out and the next one, the price slips down, maybe like a rung, and they keep, the 12 when the 13 comes around. With inflation and all the stuff we're hearing about, economic headwinds, everything that's going on, the cost of living, obviously it affects all of us individually, but also Apple. And we've heard rumblings, for instance, that the new iPhone could be like $100 more expensive per model this year than it has been in previous years. I would expect similar stuff with the Mac whenever that may come. So I think it's much more likely that the current MacBook Pro models would retain their sort of same price if they are kept around, like you said, and then the M2 will be more expensive. And it makes sense on paper, because the M2 is a better chip that Apple can justify charging more for it. So,
yeah,
but yeah, hopefully not too far away.
And Marcia also asked in the comments, thank you for putting that up, Luke, that she's planning to buy the 1 terabyte, 32 gig M1 16-inch MacBook Pro Max now. Is it a bad idea, or should she wait for the upgrade? Obviously, if you need the new computer now, you should buy it now. But if you can wait until October and see what's announced, I would hold off, because you may get more computer for your money. You may get, if that's the exact computer you want, you may be able to get it cheaper then, once the whatever is new is announced. You'll be able to make a more educated decision at that point. And if you find that that's still the computer you want and the price doesn't go down, like, at least you'll know you bought the best computer for you at that time. Because if you bought it right now and then in 3 months they announce something better, you'd be like, oh man, maybe I should have waited.
Yeah, I think that's decent advice. I would also say, Marcia, I would urge you to like really think about what you need to, like how much are you pushing? Because the Pro Max, like the M1 Pro Max, is a very powerful chip and it can do a lot of stuff. And if you need that power, by all means, definitely get it. But if we're talking about what the M2 Pro Max in this situation, if I'm just doing an apples to apples comparison, might be, we don't really know, except we know that Apple's going to tell us it's better. How much better is it going to be if your actual practical use is something that only really you're really going to be able to tell. So I think like waiting, if you can, to see just what the upgrades are if they're announced later this year. And then, yeah, like Karen said, if the upgrade doesn't look like, if it's going to be more expensive and doesn't look that great, then like go ahead and buy that the M1 version that day kind of thing after they announce it, because it's not like it's going to disappear right away. Even if they do get rid of it, it's not going to disappear right away. You'll have time. So even if they are replacing the M1 versions with an M2 version, you'll still have like that leeway in between the announcement and when they kind of officially, start replenishing their stock with just the M2 version. So that's pretty good advice, I would say. But obviously if your computer's on its last legs right now and you're really desperate for a new one, then definitely I would say just upgrade. You're not going to get, it's not going to be, it's not like that computer 5 years down the line is not going to be, still a great device that can do a lot of powerful work and processing. So it's kind of up to where you are right now in your upgrading cycle, I suppose. Steven, you were going to say?
It's like the age old, like, you have it with every Apple product every year, apart from maybe Apple TV, which gets no love. It's like you will never be able to keep up. But some people say like just buy what you need right now. But as Karen and Luke sort of said, unless you are literally like bereft of a computer and you must have one, otherwise, say you're a freelance video or photographer, artist or whatever, and you have to have that laptop to work, by all means, go and get it. But if you have you're eyeing a nice upgrade rather than like an urgent machine replacement, I would always say, especially around these fall months, wait to see what Apple's going to do. And as Karen said, it's not always a case of you're waiting for the M2 MacBook Pro so you can buy it, but there might be some savings to be had on the M1 version if you do still want to go for the lower model, having seen what M2 has to offer. Equally, if you're someone who's really pushing the bounds of Apple Silicon or your current machine, and you're looking at that thinking, I'll get the Pro Max, the 32 gig, and hope for the best, wait for M2, because there will be more headroom in that processor, more unified memory as well, hopefully a bit faster as well. So if you're some people are, for some people, I know people who work in very heavy rendering, editing stuff, the Apple Silicon is still a bottleneck, as it were, for some people's workflows. If that's what you're thinking, looking at those specs, by all means wait, because there will be more coming in the next update. But you can never, there will always be, it's the same with, I build Windows gaming PCs and stuff. It will be, there will always be the next like best thing. So it's you don't want to get too caught up on it, but I would always in the summer months wait for the fall and just see what happens.
Yeah. And we did say we would do an AMA today. You can ask us anything. You can ask us questions like she just did about buying advice, or you can ask us personal questions, whatever, as long as it's not too personal. We'll answer. So just pop in the comments if you have anything, or tweet at us.
Yeah. While we're waiting for some questions to roll in, let's quickly talk about, we talked about Apple TV Plus a decent amount, but let's talk about Netflix, which is going to start charging you $3 to share your password. I'm
we're in trouble.
I'm currently sharing my password with my parents. I probably would just pay the $3 and keep doing it because I'm a nice son, I like to think. But Netflix has been saying they're going to crack down on password sharing, and it hasn't really come yet. They've been saying it a long time, and it's been something like almost at every, I feel like, investors meeting, they talk about how, like, is password sharing really affecting our bottom line? And now we know, we've seen Netflix like lose subscribers a lot. So it kind of makes sense that that this is the way that they're going to go. They're just going to be like, okay, we're not going to stop you from password sharing, but we're essentially just going to make it a service that you have to pay for.
So far, it's only Argentina, El Salvador, Guatemala, Honduras, and the Dominican Republic that they're doing this, and it's
just the test,
prices ranging from $1.70 in Argentina up to $2.99 everywhere else, and it's kind of on the honor system. Like, they just ask you.
It's not like someone would log into Karen's or Netflix account kind of server side in Netflix and say, well, I can see that as being accessed by Karen in wherever, and also this IP address at this college and this IP address at another college and whatever. It's literally, it seems to be at this stage, it could change because it's a test. Like you said, Karen, a sort of an honor system, a question that says, do you share your password with someone who doesn't live in this house for more than, I think it was 2 weeks? And that, of course, doesn't include, like, if you go on holiday. It also doesn't include mobile devices, interestingly enough, because obviously you can watch Netflix anywhere. But yeah, I thought that was interesting because I feel like we probably, certainly, I'm not trying to get myself in trouble here, but like, I think people who already share their Netflix password know that they probably shouldn't do it. Like, the whole point is it's an account per household, right? And Netflix, I think it's like something like 100 million people use Netflix accounts that they don't own, sort of thing. So I would be curious to see how many people who already share a password, I mean, Luke, maybe here we would, but how many people share a password and be like, yes, I will take that box and pay the extra $3 a month or whatever it is, especially with the cost of everything kind of going up. But it's certainly, cheaper than everyone in the family having their own Netflix account and stuff. But yeah, Netflix has been talking about this for a long time, and finally we have kind of concrete proof of what it will look like and stuff. So yeah.
Okay. Well, we got another question.
Yeah, phone Pup in the comments asks, how has the experience been with the public betas? And also, have you seen YouTube picture-in-picture on iPhone or iPad yet? Technically, I will preface this by saying I use the developer beta, which the current developer beta and the current public beta, I believe, are essentially the same build, or they're very close. They haven't released a new one yet, although I'm probably expecting next week is when the next developer beta is probably coming. But we don't know for sure. But overall, I would say my experience with the betas have been pretty positive. Obviously, once again, as we're talking about this, a big, huge warning: if you desperately need your phone, your Apple Watch, your Mac, whatever, and you can't have it all of a sudden stop working or have certain items on it, certain apps, certain programs stop working, do not download the betas. They can stop certain apps from working. In fact, like, one example, on my iOS 16 device, my banking app doesn't work, which isn't a huge inconvenience. I can load up one of my other devices and quickly use my banking app if I need to, but it just doesn't work yet because the bank is slow and doesn't develop software for the moment that the betas come out. So that's one.
Karen nearly
example.
got deported last week because of her beta.
Yeah.
So,
but Karen had a much bigger problem. Karen, you can talk about that real quick.
So I have the public beta on my iPhone and my Apple Watch, and for the most part, it's been really stable, and I haven't had any issues. I have one tiny glitch with Twitter. For some reason, I use the regular Twitter app, and I have been unable to attach GIFs. Like if I try to search search GIFs for like congratulations or something like that, that just doesn't work. Just that one feature, weirdly. But no, the bigger problem is I am traveling to Canada tomorrow, and you have to download an app. It's in all the literature. You could look this up. In order to get into Canada nowadays as an American or anybody, you have to have this app called ArriveCan on your phone. And this app, you input stuff like your passport number, your vaccination card, you upload all this stuff. And so when you get to the border, you can just show them, you have like a code in the app, and you just show them that, and it makes things faster. And there does not seem to be any way around having this app on your phone. So I downloaded the app on my phone. I had used it before because on a previous trip to Canada, a recent trip to Canada, no problems. I could not sign. I had forgotten my password, and of course, iCloud Keychain didn't save it for me for some reason. So I clicked the forgot password, and I got the email that to reset the password, and the place to put it in, it flashed past, but I couldn't access the screen, and then it never showed up again. So there was no way for me to get into the ArriveCan app on my phone. Like I tried it dozens of times. I mean, my husband was you can ask him. I almost threw the phone across the room. I was so upset. I'm like, we're going to have to cancel our trip. I won't be able to go to Canada. So I luckily was able to download the app on my iPad mini, which thank goodness I had not downloaded the beta on. And I was able to get the app there, get my password changed and everything. And then once I had my password changed, I was able to get into the ArriveCan app on my phone. So I'll be able to use it there as well. But it was quite a harrowing experience, which is why I do not recommend getting betas if your devices are important to you.
This is why we say if you can't, if you were traveling or you rely on your devices for work and that sort of thing, always be very tentative about installing the public betas. I don't have any of the public betas, so I can't say how they're doing. What I would say is my job is obviously to do the news at iMore. There's much less. The betas in previous years, there's always been a lot of talk about how bad they are and how unstable they are, and there has not been as much of that this year. The general sentiment seems to be kind of overwhelmingly positive, people enjoying the new features, as opposed to negative, people struggling because now their devices don't work anymore. So that's all I can offer. But
I haven't had any problems at all with the strictly Apple apps or the operation of the phone itself. It's only been with third-party apps.
Yeah, there can be a few quirks too, and it doesn't happen to everyone. For some reason, I've noticed in Apple Music on my iPhone 11 that currently has the beta on it, the iOS 16 beta in Apple Music. If I switch songs, like if I'm like hitting the next track button like a lot, it'll crash, which I find interesting. So like The thing is, that might not be a beta thing. That might just be I discovered a little bug in the actual Apple Music. We never really know. But yeah, with the beta, sometimes you'll notice that sometimes apps just kind of like stall or shut down or whatever, and you load it up again. It's not a big deal. But yeah, overall they've been relatively stable. But like our advice always remains the same. Do not put them on unless you can unless it's okay if that phone like stops working for a little bit. If that's not your situation, don't put them on your phone because you never know what might happen. It's also entirely possible that the next time there is a beta and then Apple, uploads that, there might be a problem with it, which then makes it even worse. Like you never really know with the beta software if it's going to be, if it's already stable, it'll kind of just get more stable, but that's never a guarantee, right? So definitely make sure you're not putting the betas on any software or any device that is like absolutely crucial to your life. And unless you have backups, some of us have backups and things like that. Before we move on, we will get Steven to tell us about a sponsor of ours.
Thank you, Luke. Today's iMore show is brought to you by Alto. Do you have an account with Coinbase, or are you thinking of opening one? Do you own any Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, or other cryptocurrency? Cryptocurrency might represent the future of money, and it's one of the most exciting investment opportunities to come around for some time. But what about taxes? With an Alto Crypto IRA, you can trade crypto like Bitcoin and avoid or defer the taxes. You can get into investing in crypto and do it in a tax-advantaged retirement account. Alto's Crypto IRA is the easy way to get crypto into an IRA. You can trade all you want without the tax headache, create an account in just a few minutes, and invest with as little as $10. It also has industry-leading security and multiple ways to fund your account. Ready to take your investments to the next level? Diversify like the pros and trade without tax headaches. Open an Alto Crypto IRA with as little as $10. Just go to altoira.com/iMore. That's ALTOIRA.com/iMore. Start investing in cryptocurrency today. Go to altoira.com/iMore.
Thank you, Stephen. And thank you, Alto, for sponsoring the show. Let's talk about Apple. We talked a lot about Apple TV Plus, but what about Apple TV? The actual physical box that people forget is a thing. I think Apple forgets it's a thing sometimes. But the next Apple TV, if we get one, is gonna go 8K, maybe, Stephen?
Maybe. I'm hedging a lot, and I did this in my article as well. But there has been this week. Wasn't actually this week. It actually happened about a month ago, and nobody noticed. It's been discovered that the new betas, the iOS 16 and the tvOS beta, I believe, both have references or like the actual codec for the AV1 video codec, which is quite complicated to explain. I don't fully understand it myself, but obviously the codec is basically, what a device like your iPhone uses to kind of decode and play video. And AV1 is like a royalty-free alternative to what most people currently use, which is the HEVC codec. And so AV1 would be, it not only saves kind of everybody involved money because there's no royalties, but it's much, much more efficient. So you can stream the same quality of content that you currently do using much less data, or you can stream a much higher quality of content using roughly the same amount as you do now. So it looks like this is in the betas somewhere, waiting to be activated, because Apple didn't really talk about it at all in any of the new products or software, stuff like that. So it is quite possibly, something that Apple is waiting to pull the trigger on, kind of across its family of devices. So we're not just talking about the Apple TV here. This might be, for iPhone and iPad and things like that. It could just indicate that 4K streaming, 1080p streaming, whatever streaming you do right now is going to get a lot more efficient. So say you're out and about streaming on 4G, 5G, LTE, whatever, you're going to use less data, as mentioned, because of those efficiency savings. But AV1 is also like quite a critical building block for 8K streaming, which could possibly come forth in a new Apple TV. We're hearing that Apple has a new TV in the pipeline, possibly powered by the A14 chip. And a lot of the speculation going around these reports this week is that this could be like the ideal, starting point. It would be a huge upgrade for the Apple TV if it was the Apple TV 8K. I know a lot of people don't really have those TVs just now, but like 4K, they will become more mainstream over time. So there is some sort of video streaming upgrade coming to the Apple ecosystem, But like I said, whether that's just efficiency and whether that's on devices that already exist, or whether that is a big jump like 8K and in devices that haven't yet been released, very difficult to tell. But this is certainly exciting for people who do a lot of streaming and are very into the weeds with streaming hardware, movies, that sort of thing. So yeah, it's pretty cool, but it's hard to say at this stage.
Yeah, and I agree with you, Steven. Like 8K, even let's just say, for hypothetical say, the Apple TV does come out, the next one, and it does have 8K, and we all affectionately call it the Apple TV 8K, as we currently call the Apple TV 4K. But I would agree. For me, it would be like if I was going to pick one of those up, it's like a future proofing thing. Like I'm not picking up an 8K TV probably anytime soon. They're still not that mainstream yet. Then if you do get them, they're ridiculously priced. So they haven't kind of made their way down. Whereas like now 4K TVs, 4K has been around long enough that there's like some really good budget brands of 4K TVs where you can get 4K for like pretty decent prices. TCL being one of the main ones. That's a TV that I actually have. I have a TCL TV and I love it because I don't like spending a lot of money on TVs. So 8K will eventually come down, as everything does. It was just like 1080p back in the day. I say back in the day, that was like 15-ish years ago. I feel like it really made a big splash. I do remember I was the first one in my household who got a 1080p TV, because that was right around the time where I convinced my parents that I was okay to finally have a TV in my room. So then I bought my own on like Boxing Day, which is a very big day here in Canada for shopping. It's kind of like our Black Friday, the day after Christmas. I was the first one. I got a 32-inch Samsung 1080p TV, just a thing. And it was in my room for years. It was wonderful.
Is that like 16 inches of screen and 16 inches of bezel? On the outside, basically.
There was a lot of bezel. Yes, I'm assuming with the bezel, it probably would have been like 45 inches, not 32. It was fairly big. The design language of TVs has gotten a lot more streamlined, and a lot bezels, have just kind of gone away on a lot of devices. So 8K is obviously the next. It's the next thing in resolution, right? And resolution's probably always gonna go up, like albeit slowly. And part of me wonders, how eventually we're gonna get to a point where it doesn't make a lot of difference, right? Like I can tell the difference between 1080p and 4K. I think that's quite stark. I've only seen one 8K thing, and I don't feel like if I put it next to a 4K thing, I would notice that much of a difference. But it's hard. I don't know, because I didn't put them side to side.
1080p before.
That's true.
Day, so
it's got to be a big enough upgrade though. But I mean, like from 4K to 8K is actually a very big difference. It's just, I wonder what they would look like side by side. I'd like to do a comparison at some point to see what it's like.
It is weird. It's like you said, the 8K adoption thing. I think this probably makes more sense as like a efficiency thing for streaming that people already do. Unless, it's one of those things. So like the current Apple TV, it has a HDMI 2.1, but it doesn't use all of the bandwidth. So there's like headroom there possibly for, like 8K content and stuff down the line already. So like I said, there is, it's possible Apple could kind of retroactively pull the trigger on this, but the efficiency thing I think makes more sense. But this is definitely, I know like the AV one is what like Netflix or YouTube certainly use for like their 8K streaming and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens.
And speaking of 1080p, the Apple TV HD, which was the one that did 1080p and only went aside, which is actually the Apple TV that I have in my house. I don't really use it. I pretty much have other devices, so it mostly just sits there collecting dust. But with the original Siri remote, you may remember the glass remote that everybody kind of hated universally, is now considered a vintage Apple product. So
yep, that came out in 2015.
Yeah, which I could have sworn it didn't come out that long ago, but that makes sense, especially for
is 7 years officially when Apple considers something
vintage? Yeah, so vintage
and then at 10 years it's obsolete. Is that right?
So it's actually, so vintage is, so it's not it's release, it's like when it stops selling it. So vintage is when Apple stopped selling it. It doesn't matter about Amazon, stuff like that. When Apple stopped distributing it for sale more than 5 years ago, but less than 7 years ago. And there are still some repair support options available to a lot of customers through the Apple stores and stuff like that. And then once you get past the 7-year mark, so 7 years after it was last sold, so that's usually that's 2 years from when anything goes vintage, right? Once a product becomes obsolete, that's because it's not been on sale for more than 7 years. And then Apple discontinues all hardware services for obsolete products, except if you've got like a Mac that has a battery only. Some of those have like battery repairs available and stuff like that. And even service providers out with Apple can't, normally get those parts and stuff. So vintage is better than obsolete. Obsolete is totally done, and vintage is like you've got 2 years left kind of in your window. But as I said, by that time, like, I mean, a 2015 Apple TV has probably run its course for most people, I would say, by this point. So
yeah, like I said, that's technically the last Apple TV that I bought, and it's just sitting. It kind of became obsolete when I started getting other things that had 4K and whatnot, and then I just didn't upgrade my Apple TV because there's just not really a reason to, because Apple hasn't done anything unique with the Apple TV in quite a few years. So
one thing to note is that Apple does still sell the Apple TV HD, but with the new remote, which comes with the Apple TV 4K now. So this is only the one that came with the old Siri remote, which has the it doesn't have the white circle around it, doesn't it? There's like one's got the white circle, that's the 4K one. So it's not that one. So it's the old HD one with the old remote. So if you've just bought an Apple TV HD and it came with the shiny new silver Siri remote, don't worry, you've not got a vintage Apple TV now. It's just for the one with the original remote that it came with.
Yeah, which is a little confusing, I understand, because they are like the same device, but there must be some sort of like upgrades inside, even if they are, that would make it.
I think literally the remote would disqualify it might be as being because it's still on sale.
Yeah, so it's kind of an interesting thing. But if you do happen to have the original Apple TV HD, it is vintage now, so if something happened to it, getting parts replaced for it might be a lot harder. But I don't know how many people are. I mean, I'm sure there's quite a few people still using it. I don't know how many Apple TVs really need anything until they're just kind of done. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like a product that probably needs a lot of repairs over its lifetime.
It's a rogue question. Maybe we could end on it, just because we're talking about remotes. Because I saw a concept on Twitter about this. Would you buy an Apple TV that didn't come with a remote if it was cheaper and you could just use your phone?
I would.
Yeah.
I always have my phone in my hand.
We always lose the remote, and you have to use your phone because you can't find the bleeding thing down the back of the sofa. So
I have a very strict rule in my household. It is remote on glass. We have 3 glass tables, and those are the only places the remotes are allowed to go. Nobody's allowed to set a remote down on a couch, not even for a second, because we know that couches eat remotes.
Yeah, couches are hungry beings. I'll say probably, I would, because back when I did use my Apple TV HD, which honestly I only kind of stopped using about a year ago when I finally got my PlayStation 5, and that kind of took over all my streaming needs as well as my gaming needs. Because that has 4K and whatnot on it. But when I used to use it, I hated that Siri remote. I hate that all glass Siri remote so much that I just use the app all the time anyways. Which honestly, the app isn't like amazing, but it's a little better than the Siri remote in my opinion.
The only thing is
the new Siri remote is like that's the one that I want, It is like that's the one that's good. That all glass thing was just odd. It was such an odd design.
It would just make passing the remote around a little more awkward and complicated unless you were a family of iPhone users. In which case, everybody would be trying to control the TV at the same time. Maybe that would be even worse still. I don't know. Have 6 people.
I don't have kids, so it was just me and my husband. We can usually sort it out between the two of us. But I guess if you're a whole family, it would be kind of awkward to share a phone.
Mm-hmm. But I think from just from an accessibility standpoint as well, you'll never see Apple get rid of the remote, I don't think.
Yeah, it's good to have something tactile.
There's always going to be a reason to have one, and I think it probably always will. But it would be cool if they offered an option where you just like it was a little cheaper and you got it without the remote. I think I would spring for that if I was to like upgrade my Apple TV. That's probably how I would do it if it was an option.
And Stephen, put an AirTag on your Siri remote.
I just want an Apple TV remote with Find My. Like, is that real? Like, I would take that over 8K any day of the week at this stage of life, certainly.
Maybe that.
Yeah, that is a thing I need to do.
That would be a good feature to have, actually.
Yeah, maybe we'll see it. Maybe in the new Apple TV.
Or even like, it doesn't have to be Find My. We have it's called, I guess you'd call it cable. We have a Skybox in our house, and there's a remote connected. And if you lose that remote, you just hold down the button on the front of the box, and it like makes the remote like play a noise so that you can find it. Even something like, it doesn't have to be Find My. Something more rudimentary like that would be, like anything would be better than like the world's smallest, easiest to lose remote with no possible way of finding it.
Yeah.
Can you tell we lost our Apple TV remote this week? I'm still really bitter about it.
Yeah, it's around. Salty. You'll find it. Check all the couches. Check the chairs.
Oh no, we found it. It was in like I'd hidden it under a parcel that had arrived or something. So I got the flack for it in the house. But that's Find My. Come on.
Yeah, it's true. AirTags are useful. I lose my keys and wallet on a daily basis, and I am constantly on my phone, just like tracking them down. And it's just like, there's a point where it's gotten to the point where I don't even look for my keys or my phone anymore. I just immediately open Find My when I need to find them because they're always somewhere different. I am one of the persons who I found my keys in the refrigerator. I found my wallet in the laundry basket. And
AirTags are great. They work.
So if a Siri remote could do it, I think that would be a great addition. That brings us to the top of our hour, and we're done for the show for the week. I will say we have a quick announcement next week. Unfortunately, the iMore show will not be happening next week. So that is Friday, July 29th. There will be no show. We will be back the week after that. Just some logistical things and personal things going on, but we will be back in 2 weeks. Thank you everyone for listening along, people who asked us questions, engage with us in the comments. That's always fantastic. We love our live listeners. We also love all of our listeners who don't listen live and listen in their podcatcher of choice after the fact. You can always hit us up at iMore on Twitter or iMoregram on Instagram. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, if you want us to talk about something, let us know. We're always open to ideas. And we want to thank Jim Metzendorf, our audio editor, for making us sound so good every week. And I think that's it. Keep an eye on the Emmys. We'll have to see how they go. They're not for a while yet, but keep an eye on them. We'll have to see how they go. And until next time, we will say adieu. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.